Next, add decorations to the garment. Let's see the finished product. The 3 dolls are decorated on the front 5 rows of the sleeves and pant legs. But the types and effects of decorations are different. Among them, the starry angel uses gold thread and hand-sewn rhinestones to create stars. Pearls are added between the stars. The romantic angel attaches acrylic flowers. Pearls and hand-sewn rhinestones are also added between the flowers. The natural angel embroiders branches and pearls. Add hand-sewn rhinestones in the middle. I will demonstrate separately the specific sewing methods for each decoration. Everyone can choose according to their actual situation the corresponding decoration style to watch the demonstration. I'll start with this sleeve. To demonstrate the decoration method for the natural angel's outfit, refer to the chart and cut a corresponding length of yarn. Pull out 2 strands and thread them into a suitable size tapestry needle. First, sew a few stitches on the wrong side of the piece to secure it in place. Then come out at any insertion position on the first round of single crochet. Freely embroider branches on these 4 rounds of single crochet. The length and position of the branches are not fixed. After embroidering several branches, carry the yarn across on the wrong side of the piece. Leave a space between. Then embroider the next branch. After completing this round, If the yarn tail is still long enough after finishing, continue by sewing on purls at the top of the branches. Bring the needle out at the top of the branch. Insert a purl onto the needle. Then insert the needle a little distance above. Gently tighten. Then carry the yarn through the piece to the top of the next branch. Sew on the next purl. After completing an entire branch, sew a hand-sewn rhinestone between the branches. The position of the hand-sewn rhinestones is also not fixed. Simply alternate them roughly between adjacent branches. If the yarn tail is not long enough, tie a knot close to the fabric. Hide the yarn tail. Then take a new piece of yarn, secure the yarn tail using the method mentioned earlier. Continue sewing as before. The method is quite simple, so I won't demonstrate it again. Natural Angels decoration on one sleeve is now explained. Proceed downward using the same method. Sew decorations onto the remaining sleeves and legs of the doll. The method is the same. I won't repeat the demonstration. Next, I'll use another pant leg to demonstrate the decoration method for the romantic angel outfit. Start at the front 5 rounds of this leg. Glue on 2 acrylic flowers at any position. Pay attention to stagger the position of the 2 flowers vertically. Roughly correspond front and back. Then sew purls and hand sew rhinestones between the flowers. Cut a piece of remaining yarn from the body crocheting. Pull out one strand and insert it into a suitable gold-tipped needle. First, stitch a few times on the wrong side of the leg to secure the yarn tail. Then come out at any position between the flowers. Sew on a purl. Insert the needle nearby. Exit a little distance away. Then sew on another hand sew rhinestone. Continue downward using this method. Sew pearls and hand sew rhinestones into the gaps between the flowers. The specific color and quantity of pearls and the number of hand sew rhinestones are not fixed. You can refer to the finished product or choose based on your preference. Just roughly stagger them across these 5 rounds of single crochets. When done, pick a nearby loop and tie a knot. Weave in the ends. That's how you finish sewing on the pearls and hand sew rhinestones. The decoration on one leg of the romantic angel is now completed. Continue downward using this method. Sew decorations onto the remaining sleeves and legs of the toy. The method is identical, so I won't repeat the demonstration. Finally, on this leg, I'll demonstrate the decoration method for the Starry Angel's outfit. Cut a piece of gold thread, take out 2 strands and insert them into a suitable size gold-tipped needle. First, go through a few stitches on the wrong side of the leg to secure the tail. Then come out through the corresponding position. Insert a hand sew rhinestone. From the upper diagonal direction, skip 3 single crochets and insert. Then from the middle single crochet, come out through the adjacent single crochet next to the hand sew rhinestone. Insert into the hand sew rhinestone. Then skip 1 single crochet on the other side and insert. Come out at any position. With that, 1 star is sewn. Then carry the yarn across to the next star position on the wrong side of the piece. Pay attention to stagger the 2 adjacent stars. Select the 3 rows of single crochets and the 2 middle single crochets respectively. Sew this star in place. Continue down using this method. Sew all the stars around the circle. When done, pick up a nearby yarn tail and tie a knot. Weave in the ends. With that, the stars are sewn in. Next, take 2 strands of gold yarn. Insert into the gold tapestry needle. Sew pearls in between the stars. Again, start by going through a few stitches on the wrong side of the pant leg to secure the yarn tail. Then exit at any position between the stars. Sew on a pearl. Insert nearby. Skip a space and exit. Then sew on the next pearl. Continue down using this method. Sew pearls in the spaces between the stars. The specific colors and number of pearls are not fixed. You can refer to the finished product, or sew according to your own preference. When done, pick up a nearby loop and tie a knot. Weave in the ends. This way the pearls are sewn on. The decoration on one pant leg of the Starry Angel doll is now completed. Continue down using this method. Sew decorations onto the remaining sleeves and pant legs of the doll. The method is the same. I won't repeat the demonstration. Up to this point, the clothing making method has been explained. Next, make the shawl. The crochet methods for the 3 doll shawls are basically the same. First, crochet the shawl piece. Then crochet the edging. Finally, add lace trim and other decorations. The shawl piece starts with a foundation chain. Work back and forth along the starting chain. The first 6 rows of the piece are identical. Only the stitch pattern on the last row and the decoration vary for each style. Among them, the Romantic Angel and the Starry Angel styles use a new stitch technique called the T-half double crochet and F double crochet. Let me demonstrate the specific crochet method. First, make a foundation chain of 17 stitches. Then dow 2, which means start crocheting from the second to last stitch of the foundation chain. Count back from the hook side. The first stitch. The second stitch. This is the second to last stitch. Take a look. The front side of the chain looks like this braid. There's a line on the back, called the back ridge. Pick up the back ridge of the second to last chain with the hook. Work 1 single crochet. Continue downward by picking up the back ridge of the adjacent chain on the left. Work single crochets correspondingly into each stitch. Complete all the chain stitches. Check the stitch count after finishing. The first row is done. Now move on to the second row. Make 1 beginning chain to start. Turn the workpiece counterclockwise. Then pick up the stitch. Follow the pattern of 3 single crochets. 1 single crochet increase. Work through this row. The second row is completed. Continue from the 3rd to the 6th row. All follow the stitch pattern order in the chart. Work back and forth along the previous row's stitches. The method is quite simple. Please complete these rows by yourself. I won't demonstrate further. Look, this is what the shawl sample looks like after completing the first 6 rows. The side with the first row single crochets as the front side will be used as the front of the shawl. Now move on to the 7th row. The stitch pattern for the 7th row varies by design. Please choose the corresponding design based on your situation. Watch the demonstration for that specific design. The crocheting method for the 7th row of Natural Angel is simple. Just follow the stitch pattern in the chart. After completing the row, work 1 chain stitch to secure. Then leave a 5 cm yarn tail and cut the yarn. Hide the beginning and ending yarn tails to the wrong side of the piece. This completes the shawl piece for Natural Angel. Next, I'll use this swatch to demonstrate. Demonstrate the crocheting method for the 7th row of Romantic Angel. Chain 3 as the beginning chain. Counts as 1 double crochet. Turn the work. Work 1 double crochet into the corresponding stitch below the beginning chain. Hook into the stitch and work 1 double crochet. Yarn over, insert the hook into the stitch. Yarn over, draw the yarn through. There are 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over, draw through the first 2 loops. Now there are 2 loops left on the hook. Yarn over again, draw through these 2 loops. 1 double crochet is completed. Work 1 half double crochet into the same stitch. Yarn over once. Insert the hook into the stitch. Yarn over, draw the yarn through. There are 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over again, draw through all loops on the hook. 1 half double crochet is completed. Now work a group of stitches. First, skip 1 stitch. Make 1 single crochet into the second stitch on the left side. Then skip 1 stitch. Yarn over, work 1 half double crochet into the next stitch. Yarn over. Insert the hook, draw through. Yarn over and pull through the loops on the hook. This half double crochet is completed. Continue by working 3 double crochets in the same stitch. First, work the first. Yarn over, insert the hook. Yarn over again, draw the yarn through. There are 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over. Pull the yarn through the first 2 loops on the hook. Repeat 2 times. Once. Twice. The double crochet is completed. Continue to crochet the remaining 2 double crochets. Then work 1 half double crochet. A group of stitches is completed. I'll demonstrate another group. Skip 1 stitch. Work 1 single crochet in the second stitch. Skip 1 stitch again. Work 1 half double crochet in the next stitch. 3 double crochets. And 1 half double crochet. Another group of stitches is completed. Repeat this stitch pattern downward until the last 3 stitches. Now reach this position. Skip 1 stitch. Work 1 single crochet in the next stitch. Then work 1 half double crochet on the left stitch. And 2 double crochets. Secure with 1 chain stitch. Leave a 5 cm yarn tail and cut the yarn. Hide the beginning and ending yarn tails to the wrong side of the fabric piece. The Romantic Angel shawl piece is now completed. Next, I'll use this swatch to demonstrate the 7th row crochet method for the Starry Angel shawl piece. First, chain 4 stitches. Work a slip stitch in the second chain from the hook. Then work 1 double crochet in the corresponding stitch below the starting chain. Wrap the yarn. and work 1 double crochet, yarn over, insert the hook into the stitch, yarn over, draw the yarn through. There are now 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over again, pass through the first 2 loops. Now there are 2 loops left on the hook. Yarn over once more, pass through these 2 loops. 1 double crochet is completed. Now work a half double crochet in the left stitch. Wrap the yarn once. Insert into the stitch, yarn over, pull the yarn through. There are now 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over again, draw through all loops on the hook at once. 1 half double crochet is completed. Now move on to the next group of stitches. First, work a single crochet in the left stitch. Then work a half double crochet in the next stitch. Yarn over. Insert. Hook out. Yarn over and pull through all loops on the hook. This half double crochet is done. Then work a double crochet on the left stitch. Yarn over. Insert the hook into. Yarn over again. Draw the yarn through. There are 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over. Pull the yarn through the first 2 loops on the hook. Repeat twice. Once. Twice. The double crochet is completed. Continue working 1 double crochet in this stitch. Then make 1 chain stitch on the double crochet below. Pick up both of these strands. Work 1 slip stitch. Then work 1 double crochet in this stitch. A group of stitches is completed. Then work 1 half double crochet in the left stitch. A group of stitches is completed. I'll demonstrate another group. First work 1 single crochet and 1 half double crochet correspondingly. Then in the next stitch, work 2 double crochets. And 1 chain stitch on the double crochet below. Pick up both of these strands and work 1 slip stitch. Continue working 1 double crochet in this stitch. Then work 1 half double crochet in the next stitch. Another group of stitches is completed. Continue repeating this stitch pattern downward until the last 2 stitches. Now we've reached this position. Work 1 single crochet on the left stitch. Then work 1 half double crochet in the next stitch. And 1 double crochet. Then work 1 chain stitch. Work 1 slip stitch on the double crochet below. Then work 1 double crochet in this stitch. Work 1 chain stitch to secure. Break the yarn, leaving a 5 cm tail. Tuck the beginning and ending yarn tails to the wrong side of the piece by yourself. This completes the Starry Angel shawl piece. Next, crochet the edging for the shawl piece. Let's see the finished product. All 3 shawls are worked on the last round position. Crochet slip stitch stripes. Among them, the natural angel and the romantic angel are both worked into each stitch on the last row accordingly. The crochet method is the same. I'll demonstrate with this swatch. The last round of the Starry Angel. There are also different situations such as chain stitches and slip stitches. I'll demonstrate with another swatch. Everyone can watch the corresponding demonstration first, then crochet according to the actual situation. First, let's demonstrate the edging method for the natural angel and romantic angel shawls. On the stitches of the last round, take the corresponding yarn. Make a slip knot on the yarn tail. Hold the right side of the shawl facing you, with the edge facing up. Insert the hook into the third chain stitch of the beginning chain on the rightmost side. Pull the slip knot through. Slightly adjust the loop size. Keep the yarn tail underneath the fabric. Then insert the hook into the adjacent stitch on the left. Work one slip stitch. Move on to the next stitch, one stitch to another. Crochet a slip stitch into the adjacent stitch on the left. Complete this row. Once done, directly stretch the loop. Leave a yarn tail of about 5 centimeters and cut the yarn. Pull the yarn tail to the wrong side of the fabric. Hide it along the texture of the crochet. The edging techniques for these two shawls are now completed. Next, I'll demonstrate the edging method for the Starry Angel shawl. Locate the yarn tails at the beginning and end of the gold thread. Join the two gold threads together and crochet them as one. Again, on the right side of the fabric. Attach the yarn at the chain stitch position on the far right of the edge. Then pick up the adjacent stitch and work a slip stitch. When you reach the chain stitch position, pick up the chain space and work one slip stitch. Then continue picking up the left stitch and slip stitch. Follow this method. Hook this row all the way down. After completing, fasten off the yarn normally. Hide the yarn tail to the wrong side. Tuck away the starting yarn tail by yourself. Like this. The edging technique for the Starry Angel shawl is now completed. Next, we'll add decorations to the shawl. Let's look at the finished product. The decorations on the 3 different shawl styles are quite similar. They are all made up of lace trim, ribbon and other decorative elements. Among them, the lace trim and ribbon are made in the same way. I'll first demonstrate the method using a sample swatch. Then, depending on the different styles, I'll explain the sewing methods for the remaining decorations. First, let's sew on the lace trim. I'll demonstrate using this sample swatch. The last row of stitches on the swatch is random. Just demonstrating the method here. Take the lace trim. The front side of the lace trim has this two-layer look. The other side is an elastic strip. Place the lace trim with the right side facing up. Sew it along the edge of the shawl, matching it with the strip. As you sew, fold the lace trim to create the right amount of pleats. Cut a piece of remaining yarn from the shawl crocheting. Take one strand and weave it through the tapestry needle. Hold the shawl with the wrong side facing you. First, sew a few stitches on the right side of the shawl to secure it. Then take the lace trim. Position the lace trim with its right side facing the shawl. Fold the strip to create a pleat. Align it with the edge of the shawl. Sew along the strip, attaching it to the edge of the shawl. The sewing method isn't fixed. Be mindful not to sew through to the front side of the shawl fabric. At the starting position, sew a few extra stitches to secure. Then, every certain distance, fold the strip to create a pleat. Sew along the entire edge of the shawl. Once done sewing, trim off the excess lace trim. At the final position, sew a few extra stitches to secure. Then tie a double knot. Weave in the ends properly. This completes the installation of the lace trim. Next, sew the ribbon onto the shawl. The ribbon should be sewn on the wrong side of the shawl, on the single crochet edge of the first round at the neckline. The ribbon positions on both ends should be symmetrical. Cut a piece of leftover yarn from crocheting the shawl. Pull out one strand and thread it through a yarn needle. Cut a piece of ribbon about 20 centimeters long. Fold one end inward about 1 centimeter. Sew it in the corresponding position. Insert the sewing needle into the corresponding position. Leave a little yarn tail at the end. Sew a few more stitches. Once it's securely sewn, tie the beginning and ending tails into double knots. Hide all the yarn tails properly. Next, cut the end of the ribbon into a hat tip like this. One side of the ribbon is done. Sew the other side using the same method. I won't repeat the demonstration. Next, add the remaining decorations to the shawl. Let's see the finished product. In addition to seed beads and hand-sewn rhinestones on all three shawls, the Angel's shawl also has sequins sewn on. The Romantic Angel's shawl has acrylic flowers glued on. The Starry Angel's shawl has stars sewn on. The position and amount of all decorations are not fixed. You can refer to the finished product, or adjust based on your own preference. Among them, the installation method of pearls, hand-sewn rhinestones, and acrylic flowers is the same as the decoration on the cuffs. Pay attention. When installing the hand-sewn rhinestones on the Starry Angel, we also sew them in the shape of stars. The method is quite simple, so I won't demonstrate it. I'll use a swatch to demonstrate the sewing method for sequins and stars. Cut a piece of leftover yarn from the shawl crocheting. Separate one strand and thread it into a suitable size golden eye needle. Secure the thread by sewing a few stitches on the wrong side of the fabric piece. Then thread it to the corresponding position on the right side. Let's start by sewing on one sequin. Insert the needle through the raised part of the sequin towards the fabric piece. Then thread on a white seed bead. Then go back through the center of the sequin to the wrong side of the fabric. Slightly tighten. One sequin is done. Carry the yarn through the fabric piece. to the next position and sew on another sequin. Once all are done, tie a double knot on the wrong side of the fabric. Weave in the ends properly. This is the method for sewing on sequins. Next, let's sew on the star. Cut a piece of gold thread. Take out 2 strands and thread them through the gold needle. First, stitch a few times on the wrong side of the fabric to secure it. Then bring the thread out through the corresponding position. Insert it into one of the holes of the star. Make sure the purl is facing upwards. Then insert it into the adjacent hole. Go through both the fabric and gently tighten. You can stitch once more in the adjacent hole to secure it. One star is now done. Similarly, carry the yarn through the inside of the fabric. Then sew on the other star. Once everything is done, tie a double knot on the wrong side of the fabric. Weave in the ends properly. This is the method for sewing on stars. Downwards. Everyone can follow the demonstrated method. Adjust according to your own situation. Add other decorations to the shawl piece. I won't demonstrate it here. Up to this point, the making method of the shawl is completed. Next, we'll make the shoes. The crochet method for the shoes of all 3 doll styles is the same. Start with a foundation chain. Follow the magic ring, form a loop, add decorations after completing it. The new stitch technique used is 3 single crochets in 1 stitch. Please watch my demonstration of the specific crochet method. First, start with 5 chain stitches. Next, round 1, dow 2, V, 2x, W, 3x. First, work 1 single crochet increase into the second chain from the hook. Then work 2 single crochets correspondingly into each stitch. Next, that is, work 3 single crochets into the remaining chain stitch at the beginning. 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets, 3 single crochets. Complete the 3 single crochets in one stitch. Rotate the piece. You can see, on this side, there are 2 strands left in each chain stitch position. Pick up the 2 strands of the adjacent chain stitch downward. Work 1 single crochet into each corresponding stitch, total 3 single crochets. As you crochet, place the starting yarn tail over the hook. Weave in the ends as you go along. The single crochets on this side are symmetrical to those on the other side. Work 2 stitches into the same chain space. Once completed, work a slip stitch into the first stitch of the round. Pull tight. The first round is now done. Part of the starting yarn tail has already been woven in. You can cut it directly. For the second round, work 1 stitch into each stitch. Follow the stitch pattern order in the chart. As you crochet, don't forget to work the turning chain and slip stitch. The method is quite simple. I won't demonstrate it. Please complete this round on your own. Then move on to the third round. Turn the fabric counterclockwise. Work a slip stitch into the adjacent stitch on the left side. Note: the smaller braid here is formed by the slip stitch, so skip it. This slip stitch doesn't need to be tightened. Keep it slightly loose, otherwise it'll be difficult to work into later. Continue picking up stitches on the left side. Work slip stitches correspondingly one by one. And don't tighten them. Finish this round. The last slip stitch is worked into the first single crochet of the previous round. That is, the insertion point where the previous round joined with a slip stitch. Don't miss it. Check the number of stitches after completing. It should be the same as the stitch count of round 2. Count the braid of the slip stitches. 1 braid equals 1 stitch. Finally, pick up the braid of the slip stitch. On the first slip stitch of this round, join with a slip stitch. The joining slip stitch needs to be tightened. Round 3 is now completed. Now move on to round 4. Start by working 1 chain stitch as the turning chain for the single crochet. Then rotate the fabric counterclockwise. You can see there are 2 rounds of stitches here. The one in front is the single crochet stitches of round 2. The one behind is the braid of the slip stitch from the previous round. This entire round is worked into the braids of the slip stitches. You can see, on the left side of the turning chain, there are 2 braids of the slip stitch, one larger and one smaller. Pick up the larger braid and work 1 single crochet. This stitch also corresponds to the first single crochet of round 2. Move to the next stitch and work 1 single crochet into each stitch. Pick up the braid of the slip stitch and work a single crochet. Complete this round. Finish the last single crochet. On the first stitch, join with a slip stitch. Pull tight. You can see the stitches of round 2. A row of braids has formed along the bottom of this round. Round 4 is now completed. For the remaining rounds of the shoe, refer to the stitch pattern table and continue crocheting. After completing, follow the same method used to finish the sleeve edging. Fasten off the yarn using the same method. Weave in the yarn tails. The method is quite simple, so I won't demonstrate it. Next, add decorations to the shoe. Cut a piece of leftover yarn from the shoe. Pull out one strand and thread it into a suitable tapestry needle. Turn the shoe with the right side facing you, opening facing up. On the second round of single crochets from the top down, sew a hand-sewn rhinestone approximately in the middle position. Weave in the yarn tails on the wrong side of the piece after sewing. With that, one shoe is completed. Make the other shoe following this method. I won't repeat the demonstration. Up to this point, the explanation of the shoemaking method is complete. Next, make the hat. Take a look at the finished product. The hat consists of 3 hat tips in different colors, the crown, and decorations. First, crochet hat tip, then sew and connect them together. Next, crochet the crown. Finally, add decorations. Among them, the 3 hat tips are crocheted in the same method. All started with a magic ring. Crocheted in rounds upward. The method is quite simple, so I won't demonstrate it. After completing, you need to secure the yarn tails. I'll demonstrate using this swatch. Pull the loop to enlarge it. Pull the fabric through the loop. Gently tighten it. The yarn tail is now settled. Use the same method to finish the yarn tails on the other 2 hat tips. Next, I'll demonstrate the crocheting method for the crown using the swatch. Before crocheting the crown, first, sew and connect the 3 hat tips together. Cut a piece of remaining yarn from the garment crocheting. Thread the sewing needle. Position all the hat tips downward. The first stitch on the right side of the yarn tail of the first hat tip, and the 12th stitch on the right side of the yarn tail of the second hat tip correspond. Insert the sewing needle into both of these stitches. Leave a small yarn tail at the back. Then from the other side, exit through the adjacent stitch on the left side of the front and back pieces. Gently tighten. Then exit through the adjacent stitch on the left side of the front and back pieces. Follow this method downward. A total of 6 stitches are sewn together. After completing, take the third hat tip. Position it with the tip pointing downward, on the left side of the first hat tip. Insert the sewing needle into the adjacent stitch, on the left side of the first hat tip, and the 6th stitch on the right side of the yarn tail of the third hat tip. Follow the same method downward. Connect the first hat tip and the third hat tip, sew these 6 stitches together. After completing, sew back. Finally, take the third hat tip and sew together the 6 adjacent stitches with the second hat tip. After completing, sew back again until reaching the starting position. Tie a double knot with the beginning and ending yarn tails. Weave in the ends. Please hide the other yarn tail yourself. I won't demonstrate that. Like this, the 3 hat tips are connected together. Next, attach the shaping wire to the tips. Cut 3 pieces of shaping wire around 10 centimeters long. Fold each end about 2 centimeters at the tip. At the position where the 3 hat tips meet, insert the other end from inside to outside into the corresponding stitch of each hat tip. Leave around 3 centimeters above. Twist them together. Finally, stuff into any hat tip. The shaping wire inserted into the tip can be bent into any desired angle. This completes the installation of the shaping wire. Next, work the first round. Face any unsewn position of a hat tip towards yourself. The yarn tail is exactly on the right side of the fabric. Insert the hook into the adjacent stitch on the left side of the sewing position. Pull the yarn tail through. Make 1 beginning chain. Match 1 stitch to another. Work 10 single crochets. Follow the pattern, 1 single crochet decrease and 1 single crochet. Continue until reaching the stitch on the right side of this hat tip connection. Now you've reached this position. According to the pattern, work one single crochet while changing colors. First, make an incomplete single crochet. Insert into the corresponding stitch. Pull the yarn through. There are 2 loops on your hook. This is the incomplete single crochet. With your left hand, switch to the reserved yarn tail from the adjacent hat tip on the left. Yarn over, draw through all loops on the hook in one go. The single crochet is completed, and the color change is also completed. Next, leave the yarn tail of the first hat tip at the back of the fabric piece. Using the newly switched yarn tail, continue crocheting following the pattern until reaching the last stitch of the second hat tip. Now we've reached this position. We need to crochet one single crochet and switch colors. First, make an incomplete single crochet. With your left hand, switch to the reserved yarn tail of the third hat tip. Complete this stitch. The color switch is completed. Let's take a look at the method of changing colors. If the next stitch requires a color change, work an incomplete single crochet on the current stitch. Then switch to the corresponding yarn and complete this stitch. Leave the yarn tail at the back of the work piece for now. Continue down following the pattern. Crochet until the last stitch of this hat tip is done, up until the last stitch. Now we've reached this position. Crochet the final single crochet while switching colors. Pull the reserved yarn tail from the left side hat tip directly over to complete this stitch. Pay attention, the carried yarn here needs to be slightly loose. Just slightly longer than the remaining part of the hat tip. Finish and join with a slip stitch to the first single crochet. Pull tight. The first round is completed. You can see, at each corresponding position of the hat tip, continue crocheting with the same color yarn as before. Now move on to crochet round 2. Make 1 chain as your beginning chain. Follow the pattern of 3 single crochets, 1 single crochet decrease and 1 single crochet. Crochet while neatly carrying the yarn across until reaching the corresponding color of this hat tip, before the last stitch. Now you've reached this position. Make 1 single crochet. And at the same time pull over the previously left yarn tail from the left side to switch colors. Pay attention to keep the carried yarn slightly loose. About the same length as the remaining stitches of this round on the hat tip. Continue crocheting downward following the pattern. At the last single crochet position of each hat tip, switch to the next reserved yarn tail on the hat tip. Finish this round. At the position of the last single crochet, switch to the reserved yarn tail from the first hat tip. Then join with a slip stitch into the first single crochet. Pull tight. The second round is completed. The crocheting method for rounds 3 and 4 is the same as round 2, following the stitch order in the chart accordingly. At the last stitch of each hat tip, switch to the yarn tail of the next hat tip to crochet. Crochet while neatly managing the carried yarn left from color changes. The method is quite simple. Please finish these 2 rounds by yourself, up to before the last single crochet of round 4. Now we've reached this point. Choose from these 2 hat tips any color yarn other than the one used for the main body that matches the same color. Complete this stitch. Then join with a slip stitch to the first single crochet. Tighten. Round 4 is completed. Moving on, rounds 5 to 7 of the crown. All use the newly attached yarn. Follow the stitch pattern order from the chart. The remaining 2 yarn tails, leave each about 5 centimeters before cutting the yarn. When crocheting the corresponding position of round 5, weave in the ends as you go along. Cut the yarn normally after completing. Switch to the corresponding yarn for the final round. Follow the same yarn cutting method used for the cuff edging. Hide the yarn tails properly. The method is quite simple, so I won't demonstrate it further. Take a look. This is what the sample crown looks like after completion. Next, we'll add decorations to the hat. Take a look at the finished product. The decorations on the hat tips of the 3 doll match the corresponding decorations on the shawl. That is, the pearls on the shawl fabric piece area. Hand-sewn rhinestones and other decorations. The method is quite simple. Please refer to the finished product and previous demonstrations, or sew according to your own preference. In addition, sew a bell onto each pointed corner of the hat. Attach lace and ribbon to the brim edge. I'll use a sample to demonstrate the specific installation method. First, let's attach the bell. Cut a piece of yarn that matches the hat tip fabric. Thread the yarn into the needle. Start by stitching a few times near the tip of the hat to secure it. Make sure the yarn tail doesn't show on the right side of the fabric. Then bring the needle out through the corner of the hat tip. Insert it into the small hole at the base of the bell. And go back through the corner. Gently tighten. Tie a knot close to the attachment point. Weave in the ends. One bell is now sewn on. Sew the remaining bells using the same method. I won't repeat the demonstration. Next, sew the lace trim onto the brim edge. Cut a piece of yarn from the last round of the crown. Separate one strand and thread it into the golden needle. Position the lace with its wrong side facing the hat body. Align the strip with the brim edge, with the lace pointing towards the hat tips. Sew along the strip and the hat edge. Fold in pleats as you sew. Once one round is sewn, trim off the excess lace. Sew 2 extra stitches at the ending position to secure. Tie a knot close to the attachment point. Weave in the ends. The lace trim is now securely attached. Next, above the sewn strip. Along the edge of the hat brim. Attach a ribbon around. Pay attention that the ribbon should be about 2 centimeters longer than the hat circumference. When attaching, align the beginning and ending with a staggered overlap. Attach securely. Once completed, take a piece of thread matching the hat brim color. Remove one strand and weave it through a tapestry needle. Sew pearls and hand sew stones onto the middle of the ribbon. Approximately 2 centimeters apart. Alternate between seed beads and hand sew stones. Pay attention to keep the sewing position centered on the ribbon. Don't sew them crooked. Tie a double knot after completing the circle. Weave in the ends. The hat decoration is now completed. Next, create the facial features. Start by shaping the eye sockets. Use the side with slip stitch marks on the head as the wrong side. The eye sockets are approximately on the right side. Count up 8 rounds from the top of the neck. Between the 2 eye sockets, approximately 6 single crochets apart. Locate the middle 6 stitches. Create the eye sockets on both sides. Cut a piece of remaining yarn tail from the main part. Thread the needle. Insert the needle from any position on the back of the head. Come out at the corresponding position on the front. Pull out a part of the yarn tail. Insert into the adjacent position. Come out on the left side. Insert into the adjacent position. Exit from the same position on the back. Tighten the yarn tails. Make a simple knot with the 2 tails. This secures the eye sockets in place. Any excess tails can be hidden inside the head. Next, glue the eyes onto the eye sockets. Apply glue to the backside of the eyes. Align the bottom of the eyes with the upper part of the 7th round on the neck. Space the eyes 4 stitches apart. The eyes are now glued in place. Next, sew on the eyebrows, nose and mouth. Let's start with the eyebrows. Cut a piece of corresponding yarn. Separate one strand and thread it through the yarn needle. First, stitch a few times in any position on the head to secure the thread. Be careful not to let the yarn tail show. Next, come out at the inner corner of either eye, at the corresponding position, 1 single crochet stitch position above. On the same round, insert the needle at the outer corner's corresponding position. Then exit at the symmetrical position for the other eyebrow. Pay attention, leave the yarn tail slightly loose. To create a curved arc, once everything is done, then stitch a few times at any position on the head again. Trim off the excess yarn tails. Use glue to secure the eyebrows into an upward curved shape. The eyebrows are done. Next, sew on the mouth. The mouths of all three toys are attached to the second round of single crochets below the eyes, roughly in the middle, across 3 single crochet stitches. The sewing method is the same, only the shapes of the mouths are different. I'll demonstrate the making method of different mouth shapes using a sample swatch. The mouth shape of each toy isn't fixed. You can first watch my demonstration, then choose your favorite mouth shape based on the actual situation. Take a piece of red yarn. Pull out one strand and thread it through the yarn needle. First stitch a few times on the head to secure it in place. Then locate the corresponding position below the lower edge of the eyes. On the second round of single crochets, the middle 3 single crochet stitches first come out on the left side of these 3 stitches. Next I'll demonstrate the W-shaped mouth. Sew a W-shaped mouth on these 3 single crochet stitches. Weave in the remaining yarn tail anywhere on the head to secure it. Trim off the excess. Then apply glue to secure the mouth shape. If making a crescent-shaped mouth, simply insert into the right side. Leave the yarn tail slightly loose to form a downward curved shape. Secure the remaining yarn tail using the method demonstrated earlier. Then apply glue to secure the mouth shape. The crescent-shaped mouth is now done. If making a diagonal line mouth, first come out at approximately the middle position, on the right side of the first single crochet. Then insert underneath the third single crochet. Sew a diagonal line like this. Leave the yarn tail slightly loose. Secure the remaining yarn tail on your own. Then apply glue to secure the mouth shape. The diagonal line mouth is now done. Once the mouth is completed, apply blush underneath the eyes. Finally, dress the toy neatly. The making method of this toy is now explained completely. If you have any unclear points during crocheting process, you can contact our customer service, Susan's Family, supporting your handworking experience, sharing the joy of life. Thank you all for watching. See you next time.